Welcome to Keep Me Posted with Planet Aid. This is Monica Johnson, and we're coming to you today talking with Queens Metropolitan High School. And as you might have guessed, it's not just Queens as in royalty, it's Queens, New York, okay? And it's Queens Metropolitan High School who actually was the winner of our Most Pounds for a New School partner in our Earth Month contest. And then they were also the second place winner in our creativity contest. So just all kinds of applause goes to Queens Metro. So how are you doing?
Good. Very
Wonderful.
Well.
So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you to introduce yourself. And also, Eric, after they finish, can you introduce yourself as well?
Sure.
I'll start. My name is Luke Schordine. I am the staff advisor for the OWN Environmental Club, which stands for One with Nature. Happy to be here.
I'm Emma. I'm a marketer, a part of the club. I just do anything with a camera.
Hello, I'm Pauline, and I'm one of the leaders. Unfortunately, the other leaders of Own Club could not attend today, but I'm here to represent them.
Very good.
I'm Ivy, and I'm a part of the club, and I also edited the videos.
Great. And Eric?
I'm Eric Newman, and I direct the school and community programs with Planet Aid.
Very good. Very good. So we're just going to get into this conversation because I want to know, you are an environmental club. Tell me some of the things that your environmental club does within the school and your community.
Well, this was actually an activity that we started last year. So we have these milk cartons in almost every single classroom, if not every one of them, and that's where students could put their plastic bottles and stuff into. So then the janitors, they could collect them and then put them into a separate recycling system.
What is the motivation? Why do you decide to join an environmental club in the first place?
So why did you join?
Well, I decided to join because I liked the things that they were doing. I saw that they were doing good things for the school, like, for instance, they put in the water bottle fountains that we have, and I just wanted to be a part of that.
Okay. So how did the decision come into place to put a Planet Aid bin on your campus? How did that come about?
I could hop in and talk a little bit about it. One of the other members of the club, his name is Elvis, and he's not here today. He tried to look for different ways of getting clothing donation collections around. Mm-hmm. We looked for places in the area that would do it, and no places really would take large amounts of donations. So he reached out to Planet Aid last year, and Planet Aid was very quick to say, yeah, we'll put a bin on your property, no problem. And
wow. Since
that time, we are now up to 3 bins, and what was the number? I think we're collecting 500 pounds a week. It's pretty good.
Okay.
And
so go ahead.
It's out at the top of our driveway, so lots of people from the community come and do it. Actually, when we were filming the commercial, people just randomly started walking up to the bin and donating clothes. Remember that?
Wow.
Oh, we should have included that, edited that in. Didn't fit.
So what was the reaction on your campus when you decided to put the bins out? Did people just instantly start donating? Were they familiar with Planet Aid? What was that? What did that look like?
Yeah, it was pretty popular right when it got here, because it was kind of hard to miss it because it was a bright yellow bin.
It is pretty bright.
Yeah. And also it was because we had every year we have this thing called Own Festival, and it's basically Earth Day but for our club, and then we do a festival for the entire school. And one of the little events that we had was the thrift store. And oftentimes we ask students to donate clothing to us so we could sell it at the thrift store. But we also have clothing left over, and that was also one of the motives why we looked for partnership with Planet Aid.
Wow, that's a great idea. and how was that? How was that attended? Your thrift store? Just curious.
It went great. Like
Good.
It was the most popular booth at Own Fest last year and this year.
Oh my goodness, very good, very good. So what is your message that you want to send to your school and also to your community when it comes to reusing, recycling, and just donating textiles in general?
So I know that like a lot of people are always like, oh, secondhand clothing. It's like there's like this really annoying stereotype that secondhand clothing is like not as good as like if you bought it new.
Mm-hmm.
So like I really don't like that stereotype, and I kind of want to like break that and start promoting people to start using secondhand, because there's no difference between secondhand and firsthand. Like it's the same thing. So.
I think we also just want to spread awareness that there's more things that you can do with your garbage than just like throw it away.
Right, right. And it's funny, I love what you said, because there really is no difference between secondhand. I had a sister who was older than me, and I got secondhand all the time. So it's called hand-me-downs, and, you know, that's okay. So how much did you know about fast fashion when you kind of got into this? Was that anything that was a motivating factor, or did you know anything about fast fashion at all?
I started learning more about fast fashion when TikTok got famous. And then, I have to admit, I did shop at fast fashion before, and I kind of regret it. But I still have the clothing, and I'm not throwing them away yet. I've been trying to see how long I can keep wearing them, you know?
Sure. And the reason why I ask that is because fast fashion is a really big thing among your generation, and not just your generation, but it is very popular in Gen Z. So I was just curious about, you know, if you had heard anything about fast fashion and the effects of it. So again, you're an environmental club, but some of the funds from the resale of donated clothes from Queens Metropolitan, actually, it goes to, of course, environmental things, but it also goes to development projects. So that includes things like education, it includes agriculture, it includes nutrition for people around the world. So when you think about that, are you proud of your impact at all? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I see that we're raising like a lot of money, like especially with the bins, and it's like I didn't know that we could raise that much money from just like donating clothes and things like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And Eric, I know that this is a part of what you do. I wanted to get your reaction about how you've worked with Queens Metropolitan over the past year.
Yeah, well, it's been nothing but a pleasure from the moment I got the call from, and you'll have to remind me again, did you say Elvis was his name?
Yeah, he goes by Elvis. He probably introduced himself as Elvis, yeah.
Okay, and he was the one who initiated this. A student in their club called me on the telephone, having looked at our website, and that was a great start. And then because he connected me with Mr. Schordine in the environmental club, and it's as Mr. Schordine said, it's just kind of taken off from there.
Okay. Good morning to everybody. Buenos dias, buenos dias. What's it called? My name is Elvis Tavares. I'm a researcher for the OWN Club. And what's it called? With the great success that we had during OWN Day, in particular was, the thrift store. And with the amount that was sold, we had a remaining amount. And I was trying to look for like an organization that was willing to take the clothes for like a better cause so we can donate them. And from the list that I was able to find, I was able to find Planet Aid. And not only did they just not want to take, not only did they take the clothes, but along with that, they wanted to collaborate with us and supply us with the bins that we have right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Good deal.
And along with that, what's it called? So far from what I know, we have amassed over 1,000 pounds of clothes that are being put to better use than it just being left thrown out on the floor. And so far, it's been just a really great success, and it's just really nice to see that it's helping the environment and doing so much more than what we could be doing.
Where we placed the bins, we recognized pretty quickly that we needed a second one and now a third one. And as you mentioned before, Monica, they've been quite successful. Over 500 pounds a week is correct over the last 90 days. That's been the average. I'll just tell you what it's a certificate that I'm about to send you all for the 15,110 pounds of clothes you collected during the school year.
Great.
And
wow, that is awesome.
When you talk about those numbers, and I would encourage you as an environmental club to actually take on the research yourself. But when you talk about that many pounds of clothing, it's pretty some pretty big implications environmentally come out of that. So because of the combination of the manufacture of clothes being incredibly water consuming and carbon emitting process, and then combining that with diverting. So if we reduce the need to manufacture so much clothing, okay, so let's say we took 15,000 pounds of clothes out of the manufacturing process by reusing them. And we also took 15,000 pounds out of the landfill by making sure that someone else was able to use them. When you combine those elements, we're talking about millions of gallons of water saved and hundreds of thousands of pounds of carbon emissions averted, and several thousand pounds of pesticide spray not being needed, and all of those contributions to our planet and to other people, of course, in the form of clothing that they want and need. It's really a tremendous, contribution to people and planet that your club has made, and that's what we're all about at Planet Aid. Trying to do better for people and do better for the planet. So we just greatly appreciate that you host those bins on your campus, that you do something to get the word out in your community, that you donate a couple things yourselves when you grow out of them or whatever happens. And just want to say thank you. It's been a great relationship. That was a long answer to your question, wasn't it?
No, that's fine.
We're more than happy to host them. After we put them in last year, at the end of last year, some of my colleagues would come up to me and say, what do we get out of this? Like, what are they doing there? And I said, if you ever have clothes that you have to donate, don't bring them to the donation box near you. Bring them here because we get money for it. But
right.
a lot of my other colleagues came up and said, thank you. It's very convenient. I don't have to make a separate trip anywhere. It's just as I drive into work, I drop off my bag and I go about my day. So it's been very convenient for a lot of my colleagues.
I was just gonna add that a lot of my friends, they also tell me that how convenient it is and stuff. So yeah, that's just all I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Good for spring cleaning.
What I want, and then I guess that's another little factor too. If your colleagues and friends don't have to go out of their way to drop off the clothes, we're saving even more carbon emissions, right? So I didn't even think of that one before. But what I was going to add is that to the viewers at home who might not know that in addition to the donations that we make that Monica mentioned before to projects globally, education, healthcare, agriculture, the ones that she mentioned, we also donate right back to Queens Metro High School, and that's what Mr. Schordine was referring to. So with the 15,000 pounds of clothes that you've all generated, that has meant $1,250 going back to your school from Planet Aid, to your club, I gather, right, that you can now apply to some other environmentally sustainable project. Yeah, so that's a great win-win for everybody. So
right. So tell me a little bit about. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We could actually go into what we've used the funds for.
Sure. And actually, I was going to ask you what were your plans? What are your plans going into next year, and what you're going to be doing with the funds? But go ahead, and you can tell us what you are doing right now.
So we already have a plan going, which is making a garden in front of our outdoor field. So we're gonna start small with the funding. We're planning to buy like flowers and stuff, and then we're gonna expand that towards the entire campus.
That is great.
Wow, that's awesome. Can you all send us pictures of some of that? That would be wonderful just to see that.
It'll be cool for you to see the before and after, because the before is a little barren, but the after will be like a pollinator garden. So it'll have native plants. It'll be a haven for bees and butterflies. Yeah, it's gonna be a happy place.
And how much have you learned just doing this? I mean, like I mentioned fast fashion. You're talking about pollinator gardens. I mean, just being in your group, your environmental club, how much have you learned about the environment and about the impact of the different things going on because of textile, not just textile pollution, but other pollution and ocean pollution and all the kinds of things that you kind of talk about in those kinds of conversations that you have in your environmental club?
Yeah, we've actually, I would say I learned a lot, like electric cars, people say it helps, with not polluting, but actually getting the materials needed for an electric car is actually causing kind of the same amount of pollution as a normal car would. So in a sense, it's kind of better, but not as good as we would want. And we've also learned that not all plants are native. If you have a plant that's not native, it's not really going to work in your, environment or garden that you want.
Yeah, and then going back to what she said about the cars, the same thing also goes for solar panels, which is really interesting because before, one of our goals for this club was to start putting solar panels on our school campus. Mm-hmm. But then upon more research, we found that the carbon emission just for creating them is almost the same as not using them.
So this is really great because you kind of, just by being in the environmental club, you do a lot of research, don't you?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just increasing your knowledge and helping you to understand the things that people say that is good for you, and then there are things that you have to research for yourself to see whether or not it's good. And I love that you talked about the electric cars because, just also talking about the sourcing of electric cars sometimes as well.
It's funny you talk about research. So, Eric mentioned that Elvison reached out to him. He was on a team that was assigned to do research. He was one of the researchers. We have two roles in our club, which is, researcher, looking at different things that we could do to increase our impact and decrease our environmental footprint. So when he reached out to you, this was not the only thing that he and the other researchers did. They look at all sorts of different things from donating clothes to the pollinator garden to, as we were talking about solar panels, composting in the cafeteria. We have students that are actively looking into the different things that we could do to make our school greener.
Very good. This is not to make it about this, but this is great for your resume, just so you know.
Well, yeah, I'm really impressed. I think I'm sure you all learn a lot in all your classes at Queens Metro. I'm trying to say the right thing here. But it seems like you got a great advisor for your environmental club that really gets you thinking about things and learning new things. So what do you think about that? Am I on the right track there with that comment?
You're really good because that was my last question. I was going to say, before we wrap up, I wanted to recognize your teacher. Because I happened to do a little bit of research of my own and saw that your teacher, an environmental advisor, is recognized as a pretty awesome teacher. And received the Sloan STEM Award for excellence in mathematics and science a while back. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
And also, I mean, not to make you blush or anything, but also just I wanted to see what your students had to say and how supportive you are as far as that goes.
He is very awesome. I try not to say the wrong thing or else I'll probably get a bad grade. He's really awesome. He's really great at teaching, and like his class, he makes it really fun. He makes a lot of jokes in class too. And, yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you again for just taking the time. I know nobody wants to stay late on at the end of the last day of school.
Their
oh my gosh, yes,
they're staying late to do this. So that's
so dedicated.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to probably be like Zoom out of there, but thank you so much for talking with us, and we just really appreciate you. We appreciate just the fact that you're so creative. Those videos, we love them so much. I have to tell you, we share them in the office. So just please keep on doing what you're doing, and you're just doing some really great things. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.